Many things are totally contradictory to what I would hold dear, people who believe in human rights and so on hold dear. The total lack of accountability is dangerous. There's also a lack of accountability in elected governments, but at least we have the right and we exercise the right to question, to protest, without being taken up to run around the military compound. We know the police will arrest us, and we know police procedures will follow. There is not a fear that some of us might get killed or maimed, tortured, and so on. So that lack of accountability is very dangerous and does not augur well for the future. The lack of consultations around all the many, many decrees and so on, lack of consultation around the Constitution at this point in time, though there is widespread consultation, one also wonders if we have made these submissions, who's going to look at them? How do we know that people's ideas have been taken into account? A young leader asked this question of Bainimarama on the radio cockpit show, and he refused to answer that. He said, oh no, come and have a look at what we are doing, but I'm sure that accountability will be missing. Let's look at secular state. While it's been declared a secular state, if you attend government meetings, almost at every one of them there is a Christian prayer, and no one asks and pays you who else is there. The police continue to have church parades. What of those who might have a different belief system, belong to a different religion, or are non-believers? What of them? Where is the secular state at that point in time? We have asked that question, and then we have been told, oh, we're very happy everyone is participating, and that is it. We are all Fijians. I think that is a sentiment many of us have embraced for a very, very long time, and want to be known as Fijians, everyone. But you know, just saying it and legislating, it is not going to make a difference. You know, people are all of a sudden we're not going to play happy families, because those divisions are so deep, so entrenched. Did anyone ask everybody else, do you want to be called a Fijian? Was there any consultation? None whatsoever. For a country which has had major racial divisions, is needed to have been thought out more deeply with the reality of Fiji in mind. As someone from the other side said to me, racism is stifled. There's stifled racism in the civil service. One wonders what happens if one day Sitiveni Rabuka was to go. Let's talk about the military. Do you think they all believe we are all Fijians? There's not one racist within, one person with racist thoughts within there? I don't think so. Because we also hear comments from them. What happens? And a lot of demonizing of Ayaz said to you. Yes, he is a culprit. But let's not demonize him only, or if you want to demonize anybody. There's a whole military machine behind him, with him. I'm sure we'll be able to deal with him a lot better if the guns were not around. No? But there are those guns also. I believe the racial divide and resentments are far deeper than ever before. When I hear political conversations, I shiver at the comments made by the educated people, elite. I shiver. What they're going to do to Ayaz, for me not to worry about it, they're going to fix him up, and so on and so forth. And other Indo-Fijians who are part and parcel of this seem to be collaborators and so on. I hear about the first culture. I hear about the Kendia, even the blogs, you know, sometimes you have a look at them. Sometimes there are some good things in there, you have a good laugh about it. But when they start calling somebody a Kendia and then Ethiopia and start making those divisions, you don't want to go there anymore. If the educated are behaving in this manner, then what about those, you know, the lay people, the people out there in the villages and so on, who have been so easily manipulated in the past? The leaders who have once again emerged, I don't hear anything new. I'm not hearing anything new at all. The very quiet leaders during the height of the crisis, when the women were raising their voices, despite the PER and co-ed and whatever, were very quiet at that time. They have suddenly emerged. soon as the PR started relaxing. And some of these, of course, had joined the regime in the beginning, yeah, or some went underground, and are emerging very slowly now. Apart from at least 2 people, I can say. As soon as safe spaces started opening up, one by one they have all started coming out. And once again, the rhetoric, the drama begins. There is no new leadership that we see, and no new ideas. Nothing grounded in human rights. I'm not hearing that. We're just hearing about the same thing. You know, attack, attack, attack. I'm not hearing any constructive conversations. No discourse regarding human rights, the rule of law, issues that matter, which form the foundations of a democracy. I believe we NGOs have to take a bit of blame for this, not credit this time, blame, because I think we failed the community at large also in how we spread human rights around. The people are enjoying their bread and circus, and that's the term I take from Vijay, bread and circus again. The regime is on a campaign trail, handing out sewing machines, houses, water tanks, whatever you want, handing it out. Not to say that sewing machines often don't work. The media has grown so used to censorship, I don't think some of them even remember what life was like pre-censorship. People don't even want to push the boundaries. Yes, the fear is there. But you know, the onus is on us. It's our responsibility pushing the boundaries. This is our country. The country does not belong to Ben Marama, Ayaz, or the military regime. It belongs to the military, it belongs to us. So, having said all that, I would just like to say just some things that I see. That definitely, I don't see a place with the military in the governance of our country. I personally do not see that at all. But the reality is they have come so far, totally entrenched. We have a military government which is in power through a coup, getting more and more entrenched. I believe it is time for a meaningful, open, honest conversation with the military if they come to the table. And I believe also much to whatever I hold very dear, that I think Fiji will have to start creating spaces for them in the governance of the country somewhere. Because as one military officer said to me, he said, "What do you think we are dogs? You're telling us to go back. You know what happens when you unleash the dog and things like that." So the threats are already there. But if we were all of one mind and had these conversations openly, I think we can go a long way. We have to discuss immunity openly, and so on. I still believe there is time for a constituent assembly. This is when the government of the day, the regime can save face also. We need engagement at some level, on our own terms also, not losing sight of human rights, rule of law, and so on, holding people accountable, but there needs to be a conversation engaging the regime, so that we also have some input to counter the other input. Continue pushing for human rights, rule of law, accountability, and I think NGOs, human rights-based NGOs play a very important role. My dream, of course, is encourage the resignation of the ministers that are there pre-election, appoint a caretaker administration to take us to elections, good people, good human beings, not the same old crowd, so that the regime can also deflect criticism and gain some credibility in its way forward and to develop good faith, because they're talking about democracy. So this is one way to go about it. But my plea to all of us, and particularly the students here at the university, we are people of Fiji. We are the citizens of this country. We all have a right to be here. That we do not lose sight of this common goal, our beloved country, Fiji, and our prosperity as the people of Fiji. Let us not lose sight of that. Let us forget race. Let us not be misled by opportunists, by people who are garnering their own places. Let us not be misled by them. Let's forget race and let's move forward. For a future for Fiji, where we make human rights a reality for everyone living in this country. Otherwise, I believe we are headed for disaster. Thank you very much.